Thanks a lot, Leslie, and let's dive right in. This session will be strictly in two phases, so no intersection and no linking like previous speakers done. I have not been that clever, but let's start. First, I really want to emphasize that what I will be speaking about, especially in the career section, is based on true stories. However, I do not mean any offense to anyone. This is not intended to mock people. The objective of this presentation, of this talk, is really to help you out there with steering your security career. As for myself, currently I'm PwC partner. Formerly, I was a CISO, Vice President of Information Security, and that's not here for flexing, but mostly to set the stage that I have done about low hundreds of job interviews with candidates wanting to join my teams. And I have reviewed probably low thousands of CVs and resumes in general. So I want to focus today specifically on one weird angle of where I see some otherwise good candidates fail in their search for really cool job in security. And basically, it very often goes like this. I meet someone on an interview or who just wants to consult and get some coaching on their career. And after a while, they came out with something like this. I want to be a CISO, or I want to be a threat intelligence strategist doing threat research on the cutting edge of technology, researching nation-state threat actors, artificial intelligence, and really where the cool things are. Or some people straight out want to be, hey, I want to fight the APTs. I want to work on the most difficult and most dangerous incident response cases where the stakes are high and I can grow as a person. How can I get that job? And very often it's also followed up with some caveats, like these candidates, they do not want to sometimes speak to people like at all. Sometimes they feel like going into the grind of day-to-day work is beneath them because it's boring, it's not stimulating them intellectually. And also sometimes they are like, yeah, I don't want to be selling anything to anyone. My work speaks for myself and for my accomplishments. And that has to be good enough, right? So if you can just help me out and either give me a job like this or show me a plan, some steps, and I will execute to get to such plan. What happens in these situations very often is I do not have an answer for these people. And remember, as I set the stage, these are not people who are lacking skills or capabilities. Very often when I'm speaking with these guys, it's really about they are clever, passionate, intelligent, and still I don't have advice for them, or I do not have advice that I think would be helpful and would not sound like I'm making fun of them. Because the problem is, for a lot of these cool sounding jobs, there is no clear career path. For some jobs, it's easy. You go for analyst 1, analyst 2, analyst 3, and then you progress in your career into either subject matter expert or management maybe. But for some of these niche and really cool roles, or really high-end roles like executive roles in security or senior management, there does not seem to be a clear career path. What is it? Why is that so? And maybe what can you do to create your own path? So first, my all-time favorite motivational quote is from James Cameron, just before he dived into the Mariana Trench, that hope is not a strategy, luck is not a factor, and fear is not an option. And I believe that out of these three, in one case he is wrong, but the other two stands. So when I try to break down and politely, to not hurt anyone's feeling, answer these asks for how can I get that cool job, I very often encounter these four roadblocks or challenges that the people perceive that are either holding them back or are their current strategy. So number one is that they perceive that all the cool jobs are basically hidden for some inside mafia only, friends only, relatives only, and that's why they cannot get that dream threat intelligence. I don't know why it's threat intelligence, but very often it is threat intelligence, strategic analyst role, because it's friends only. The other case that sometimes happens, and this is probably the most sad one, is that they are brilliant people who just came out of college, and at that college, and their mother told them that they are special, they are unique, they are the smartest kid in the room, and it might be that they actually were. And especially if the college is average, let's say, it's just the case that the bar was not that high. So they feel like so far they were the best, but it does not translate directly into the next step, into the job market and the path to that unique position. Some people are just, I would say, struck by the fact that they don't get the offers for that cool job that they dream about. So they just wait and wait and wait until something happens and it will somehow change. I call this like waiting for magic, or if you are a South Park fan, it's a 3-step plan with the step 2 missing, but it's not going to help. And lastly, it's the mindset of all or nothing, where some of these people will tell me, yes, what you are offering might be a good job, it might be interesting job, but it's not the job, and I'm not going to take it. Others will take it and change the job 3 months in. Sorry. And they continue in this either waiting or changing for sometimes years, and the situation is not improving. So what can be done about that? I think you need to look in this situation not as I need a plan, but I need a strategy. And the strategy is not about linear step of actions. It's more about direction, making the best out of your current options, expanding your options, and reevaluating. So if you are at the stage where you at least know what your passion is and what the cool job looks like in your future, that's good. That's your direction of travel. Sometimes I try this mental experiment when someone tells me, I want to be a CISO, tell me how you did that so I can do that as well. I ask them, okay, what's your path? What's your route towards that? You are at some point in your life and your career right now. What are the next steps that you see ahead of you? And very often they are like, I don't know where to start. So my advice is really focus on the year one, try to identify the vector, the direction, and see what are the options or choices available to you right now that you can start pursuing in a year one. Because it's going to be a journey. It's not going to be 2-week crash course and you are done. Once you start on the journey, I think super important concept is about hedging your bets. If you have multiple choices and multiple options, and some of them will be closing the other options while others will keep them open or multiply as benefits for different angles of your career pursuit, go for that. I would advise not to go all in on one option very early on. It might work out, but it's better to just hedge your bets And if this does not work out, this job, or maybe this training, or this self-learning in my home lab, is there some transferable skill to the other option that I have as a backup plan? If yes, that's actually a strong point for the first route. And as you are going, I love Shrek and the donkey. And one part is, are we there yet? You need to be asking yourself whether you are on the right direction, on the right path, and whether you are moving forward. If you realize that you are either not moving at all to your goal and you are just going sideways, do the introspection. Find out why that is. Is it something you are doing wrong? Or maybe your direction is taking you in different objective than you originally wanted a year or 2 years ago? And more importantly, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? So this iterative approach is something I highly encourage. Because overall, if you look at this, and I like to look at the career in general as a computer game, you want to win. And by winning is you need to identify your objectives, you need to understand the rules of the game, and the rules of the game are blurry. And then you need to find your way to maximize the chance of winning. Because, and this is much smarter person than I am, who defined what's the difference of strategy to planning in a really clear way. So strategy is not a set of steps. It's a set of choices that gives you high likelihood to win. It positions you, it gets you on the playing field. It does not guarantee success. It's not just execution. It's really a strategic thinking forward. What it means is, in my experience and for cybersecurity, you have basically 3 major ways forward on where and how to drive your career. The most easy or simple one is going for the subject matter expert, badass individual contributor. I know my stuff. I can do malware forensic analysis in and out. That's what I will be doing. That's what I will be famous for. That's where I will grow to my expertise. Fine, it's perfectly valid strategy. The other option is, I want to lead others. I want to achieve my objectives. I want to, and that's true, I want to benefit from others. I want to profit of others' achievements. There is nothing wrong on that. I want to go into management role. Again, if you come as someone who has never led people in any way or form and say, yeah, I would like this senior manager role, is that going to work? The answer will be, it will not. And finally, the big one is in security, in other cases as well, but let's speak about security. You need to answer the question whether you want to do business, whether you want to be earning money, not just from your paycheck, but by doing sales. So in other words, are you looking and positioning yourself towards the external clients, or you see yourself internal only? Because internal only still means there will be clients, just internal ones. Once you have this sorted out in what's the most appealing to you, then you need to look into the skill trees, like any good computer game and RPG. And here you will have your hard skills, and they are the most easy to obtain because they are most visible. And today, anyone with access to internet can learn these hard skills, I would say, very easily. And it can be super specific, configuring some devices, doing finance math, if that's your case. That's one thing. The other thing is soft skills. And this is where it starts to get tricky, because when someone tells me, I don't want to speak with people, I don't need to speak with people, that's why I do IT, that's why I do security, I most often disagree with them. Because in a lot, if not all, positions and configurations of work I have seen, you will be interacting with other people. So you need to work on your soft skills, and especially if you want to go in this like entrepreneurship or business or management oriented career, then your soft skills is going to be your bread and butter. But that's easy. Everyone talks about that. I think what's less visible is the need for your self-awareness. You need to be aware of what your strong sides are, but also what are your weaknesses. And one of the best advices that I got in this direction was focus on your strengths. Don't try to overcompensate every one of your weaknesses. Focus on where you are strong at, and that's going to be your differentiator. But you must be honest with yourself. If you know that you are not going to make yourself study for 3 months, 4 days, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week to gain these hard skills that you need, because your attention span will just not keep you entertained, don't lie to yourself that this time it will be magically different. It probably won't. And the most hidden thing is truly experience. And to me, this is something that's tricky and that people want to find some shortcut for. And there are not that many shortcuts, because you need to be in the position for those lucrative, cool jobs that you could say, yeah, I have seen things you people wouldn't believe. And that's the thing that comes with experience only, I'm afraid. Because once you have done something 10, 100 times, and once you got burned and found a way how to get out of that burn, that's what is going to move you forward the most. So look forward not only for the hard and soft skills, but also where are you going to gain that experience? And I just listed few examples, and you can do some back of the envelope list like this yourself. But if I were looking where to hone my hard skills and soft skills and where to gain some experience, these would be my 3 go-to routes for security person. You don't see compliance roles, you don't see a lot of other roles. The list would be much longer. I just took these 3 because they are close to my heart and also close to my own career in a form or shape. If you go into the SOC analyst, it's something I think it's underrated. It's badmouthed a lot in the industry, and I don't know why. Because yes, it is a grind. You can call it great, but yes, it is a grind. It's a lot of work. It's volumes of work, a lot of tickets. Not everything is fun, but this means that if you are in a decently sized enterprise SOC, in a year, you are able to gain experience in certain areas of security that, if you just capitalize on that, will enable you to move forward to incident response, to that threat intelligence, to a lot of other things. And on the side, you will pick up the teamwork and processes and what it means and how to do it right. I would say the complete opposite of that, to some extent, is a consultant, Big Four consultant, boutique consultant, whatever. Your hard skills probably not going to be that much technical. You will learn a lot about PowerPoint, about Excel, about finance numbers, but you will focus a lot on your soft skills, on presentations, on speaking to people, on making a persuasive pitch, on navigating difficult situations. And if you are in the consulting business, the beauty of that is you will meet good clients, you will meet bad clients, and all of that is going to go away. It will be weeks, it will be months. And again, you will get that experience and that volume, and you will enjoy your successes, and you will have the opportunity to learn from your fails. The system administrator, again, or help desk even type of jobs, again, I think it's underrated, but it's going to teach you a lot of the hard skills. You just cannot afford to get stuck in this if you want to pursue your dream, and you realize that for 10 years you are still in the starting role. Maybe your starting role is your dream, I don't know, but that's the evaluation. And the good thing is that you will get the volume, you will be able to demonstrate what you have done, because usually you have this long span and finished projects. And just one thing that I want to emphasize, don't become that all users are stupid, or it's just the user's fault, or let's blame marketing type of IT guy from the basement. It's not cool. It's not going to help you in any way. On the contrary, don't be annoying to people because it's just bad for everyone involved. And importantly, and this is the last slide on this career talk, have no fear. So strategy and no fear, that's where I agree with James Cameron. Where I don't agree with him is the luck. Luck definitely is a factor. It played a major factor in my own career, and I don't want to be denying that. And I think that for you to capitalize on luck is, you cannot force luck, but you can be on watch and being ready to go for the opportunities if they present yourself. Your senior manager suddenly leaves the company. Maybe that's the time when you can say, yeah, I'm not perfect, but I'm here and I will do that. Or you receive one of a lifetime opportunity to go for a startup that, yeah, maybe it will not succeed, but it might be amazing pride. Overall, it's your life. And if you want to achieve these cool jobs, you need to own it. You need to be on the track to make your own decisions, be honest with yourself, and focus on moving upwards or towards your goal and not going sideways. And some good news in the very end is, even if you don't move up, even if you don't achieve your goal, even if you maybe stay in something that originally was supposed to be intermittent role, eventually, if you get good in anything you do, it will start to be amazing. Because either it will be very easy and you will have a very good work-life balance, or you will get to that cutting edge of your own niche that you will be defining. And then that's where the interesting thing happens. I know some people don't like SOC analyst role. I think it's still a great one, not just for starter. If you are an amazing analyst, you will be working on the most difficult and most amazing cases. That's just reality. If you are the one who can reverse engineer unknown malware, and that's your thing, you will be the one to whom people will be coming with interesting tasks like that. Because guess what? If there is a malware that no one knows and no one cannot reverse engineer but you, it's probably going to be interesting. So focus on just getting better and yeah, have no fear. That being said, I want to do a sales pitch advocating for tea as opposed to coffee, because our industry is famous for coffee drinkers, and there are endless jokes about coffee. And when I tell people I don't actually drink coffee and I drink tea almost exclusively, I received weird looks. But I think that's because tea has just a bad reputation of bags thrown at you at very no or very bad taste. So what are some of the key differences of tea against coffee, and maybe what do they have in common? So first, the caffeine in tea and coffee is actually the same chemical. I know some people believe it's something magically different. It's not. It's the same thing. And the difference is that a cup of tea on average has lower caffeine dose than coffee does. But that's about it. And the difference is not like 10x. It is a half or 30% difference. And in some cases, it can be very close to each other. What is different, though, is that tea is behaving differently for you in your system compared to coffee. Coffee is hit and run. It's quick rush of energy, waking you up. It really goes high on the spike and then quickly goes down. Tea is behaving differently, and it's because of the other chemicals in tea, tannin, sorry, which is going for, let's release this into the organism more consistently and over the longer course of time. So basically, there will be slower uptake of tea, but it's going to be with you for longer. What was interesting, and that's what I learned when I was preparing this presentation, and I was looking at the health impacts. There are various health impacts documented out there, but one was really surprising to me. When you position tea and coffee against each other, I found a really interesting study that said if you took someone who only drank coffee and then exchanged a portion of that for tea, there were very different results for men and women. So for men, disregarding what percentage of coffee you replaced by tea, it worked better. The mortality of the group decreased, and it did not matter whether they substituted 20% of coffee with tea, 40%, or even all of that coffee with tea. In other words, for men, from a health perspective, tea is always better. For women, it was much more complicated. Up until about 40% of replacement of coffee replaced by tea, the benefits in decreased mortality were observed the same as with men. However, after this threshold of about 40%, it went the opposite direction, and at about 80 to 90% of replacement of coffee by tea, the mortality rate in women actually increased. So weird and interesting fact that I learned in preparing for today. The other thing that might be confusing for people who maybe want to try tea is that tea is usually color-coded. You can hear about black tea, red tea, green tea, white tea, yellow tea, half green tea. I think there is dark tea as well. Many colors. It does not really matter. It's just good knowing that actually these teas are very different products. And if you taste black tea and it's not your game, it's maybe too close to coffee and you don't like coffee actually, give it a try for a green one or white one. There is a lot of details on why the color of the tea is named like this, but I'm not going to the direction. Just know that it's not something that's different plant. It's just very often different way of manufacturing or processing the tea. Fun fact, and related to security, is a counterfeit tea is a thing. I was surprised when I learned about that some time ago, but basically, in some cases, up to 10 times more tea of certain region is sold worldwide than is actually produced. And the reason is some of the teas can be really expensive and very rare. Some people just like them. Some people are more about showing the power of their money, and tea can become the new wine in some cases. And then you have this problem that, yes, this super rare tea is produced from one tea tree and not like one species or one farm, but one tree. And the overall annual harvest is 50 kilograms. That's it. There is no more that year of that tea. So counterfeiting becomes a thing. One thing that I really can get agitated about are myths around tea. A lot of people are projecting into tea their, I would say, esoteric views of the world. some legends and fairy tales and beliefs. If that helps you, if that's your thing, then good for you. It's not mandatory to enjoy a good cup of tea to go into this, I would say, esoteric views on the tea. So when I spoke about tea difference, I want to give you some tips on how you can actually identify and select good tea if you want to try it. And I hope that after this presentation, at least some of you will give a good tea a try. So number one on my list, that this is personal preference, is look at tea that's fresh. And fresh means essentially less than 12 months old. If you can get below 6 months from the harvest, that's actually really good. And anything that's like 3 months or less from the harvest, it's going to be amazing. Average tea that's fresh will always be better than expensive, rare tea that's 3 years old, because no one has bought that. So always look for fresh. And also, this is the first sign for the good dealer of the tea that they will actually be able to tell you when the tea they are selling you has been harvested. If they don't know that, or if it's not visible, then I would say walk away and find some dealer or seller that will tell you what's the pedigree of the tea you are buying. The other thing, tea is really sensitive on losing the taste and smell if it's not properly manipulated. So vacuum seal only. If someone sells you tea in anything else, it's not going to be good, most likely. I already touched that. Tea bags are no-go. Then the other two lines are basically just a joke, that because a tea has its own cryptography system or nomenclature, if you want. So you can see a tea and then a handful of letters thrown around, like T, which is SFT OP. Is it good? Or is it OP only? Is it good? Is O powered? That's what OP means? No, it's just different information about the tea. And for some time, there was, I would say, very easy rule: the more of these letters, the better the tea. But problem is, some of these letters can also be not only about the tea, but also about its processing. So you can have CTC, crushed tear curl, which is not actually a good way, or like how to treat premium tea, or a dust or picoey dust. And then you can have CTCPD, a lot of letters, but that does not actually mean that it's a better tea. So take this with a grain of salt. You can easily Google this. It's not magic, but I would not stress about that. Freshness still much more important. And finally, if you want to enjoy a good tea, you need to prepare it well. And when I mean preparing well, there are again different options, some of them very complicated, but what will work for you, especially if you are starting to enjoy tea, I would say 90% of the time, is bring your water to boil and let it cool a bit, so it has about 90 degrees of Celsius. Try to use natural water that's not too hard, not with a lot of minerals, just good water. Then add 1 teaspoon for a cup of 150 milliliters and pour the water for 3 minutes of steeping. And that's it. Enjoy. If it doesn't work, you can play with the temperature, plus minus 10 degrees of Celsius. You can play with the time, plus minus 1 minute. It will be slightly different for a lot of the different teas, but that's it. That's going to work most of the time. And if you have good tea, good water, you prepare it well, you will enjoy your cup of tea. That's it. Thanks for your attention. Any questions are welcome. And I'm especially glad that I found this template for presentations, because one thing that I'm not good at is actually presentations and their creation. So thanks to SlidesGo.
Well, it looks fantastic. One of some of the best looking slides I've seen at this conference. Very well done and wonderful presentation. You do have some questions. The first one is from Bex. So Bex wants to know about some of the biggest indicators of successful CVs and interviews that you've seen in your time doing this.
So for me, when I'm looking at CVs and also at interviews, I'm looking for what the person can do positively. I'm not looking for your failures. I'm not looking that you are bad at something, because when I'm hiring because I need to hire someone. No one's forcing me to hire. So I want to find what it is that you are good at. So anything that's specific, that's like these nuggets of interesting information that I'm looking in your resume for. And when I find them, I'm going to ask for them on the interview. So it's double-edged. If you put something that's really interesting, it's a sense of accomplishment sending in the CV, and then I ask you about that, and you tell me, I have put it in my CV. That must be a mistake. I have never done that yet. That's a true story. Your interview is probably going to end quite soon.
Thank you. C-Dubs wants to know, what are the best resources to learn business skills like budgeting, negotiation, corporate finance without going to a formal master's of business?
I would say get a job in some probably consulting business and work with people who are more experienced than you. I don't think personally that these softer skills of the trade are something that you can easily learn from books or courses or trainings, but working with someone who is 5 years, 10 years ahead of you in this game, that's what's going to give you the most out of your experience, and that will grow you the most.
Perfect. And finally, Chris wants to know, the impetus of career development seems to be most often towards subject matter expertise or a single subject. This is a question I get asked a lot too, so I'm excited to hear your answer. Is there a place for a similarly regarded expert generalist, a jack of all trades and master of none?
Yes, and actually in my career and in the businesses I worked with or for, these generalists are quite often more valuable. And let's take it with a grain of salt. For some cases, you will definitely need the narrow subject matter expert for malware analysis. That's not going to something that you are going to crowdsource. But a lot of work in cybersecurity, in my experience, is about putting together cross-domain knowledge and sometimes experience that maybe you have gained 2 years ago randomly, and now you are putting it to a good use. And that's going to be your differentiator. As to where to apply that, I think, again, consulting is a good example of master of none and jack of all trades. And sometimes people don't like it about consultants, and I understand that. I would say that mid-size businesses are going to grow you in the internal role the most, because if your security team is 4 or 10 people, you don't have the luxury simply to be over specialized, as if your team is 300 or 500 security professionals, then you will have probably more narrow scope. But if you are going for the generalist, this would be my advice.